So that means basically that all the data before season 60, basically you can toss in the trash.
Basically, yes, it's either it's missing that one skill or it is unknown and even like changing every lap.
So obviously we don't have the private leaks today. So what do you think prevented it from happening? Was it you? How much did you get for developing the race screen?
It was for
Did you have like the same level of access than Stefan and Vlad? So let's say Vlad would fell into a coma for a year. Like, do you think that Stefan and possibly you would be able to keep GPRO running? You have returned now as a player, and I guess that some people, it's a bit surprised that because you have been an admin before and you probably have some certain knowledge of the game that they see it might cause issues with the integrity of the game. So what are your plans and what would you say to those people?
mm,
Kind of surprising. I think you don't have that many citizens, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 million. How much do you have in Finland?
yeah, a bit over 5.
Considering that, I think that's like less than 0.1% of the world population. Considering that, I think you are pretty present at all sort of sports. I think generally in Scandinavia, sports seems to be a big thing. Where
Yeah, I don't know. Well, of course. Well, I think in traditional sports we maybe declined. We used to be the country with the most medals in Olympics per capita. But then I think now San Marino and some Dominica and stuff have overtaken us. And yeah, but I think it is, at least it used to be said that because our driving conditions and the winter and everything is so bad, then we are just naturally good drivers and we do well in rallying and yeah.
it's like your normal commute to work. No, I mean, like, Finland, I think, is also overrepresented in GPRO. So I think there's you and Heidi Ares. I don't know how to pronounce that name. How is it correctly pronounced correctly? Heidi Ares Koski.
I think quite close to that. Reskoski.
Okay. So so GPRO is also seemingly popular in Finland. So you won the title in season 58 and 59, right? I think so. I
Yeah, I
looked it
think
up.
so.
I think I
I
looked it
think
up before
season
the
60 was
podcast.
my last, and that I didn't win anymore.
And like you retired, which was I think kind of surprising at the time. But then you announced that you would become an admin, or I think Vlad announced it. So was that the reason you retired, or were you planning to retire anyways?
Mm, Probably I wouldn't have retired without that. So I would have kept racing. But yeah, I was doing this race viewer, and yeah, that was pretty much finished at that time. And yeah, we discussed with Vlad, and yeah, Vlad asked if I would like to do things in the backend also. And then yeah, I had won the championships, and it felt like that. Okay, maybe I have achieved what I can achieve. And yeah, so that was like the background.
I mean, it's like I think the only occasion where a player would become admin. Also, I think you are the only admin except from Stefan and Vlad, right? Or was there ever any other admin in G Pro?
There was, I think, well, I don't know who counts as an admin, but I think Christian, I don't know, Iorgard, what was the name, was an admin. I think he even played like season 1 or something, so maybe I'm like the second player to become admin. But yeah, that was like very early days. I don't know the story.
Did you like apply or did Vlad come to you? Because I guess it's not a normal job which is like written anywhere. So what was like the what convinced Vlad to hire you?
So I guess it was the race viewer, so that I kind of like applied or presented to Vlad like some, I don't know, maybe 3 years before I became an admin. So I like that one. That one I was working when I was a player, and I had like this very rough sketch that okay we could do like this, and yeah, the like circles would go around the track and so on, and yeah, but it was like very like rough idea, and yeah, but yeah, Vlad liked it, and yeah, I think well I guess it became much better than I thought it would be. Like I was planning to do something very simple and just follow the dots going there, but yeah, I think it looks much better than I believed.
So the race screen was already developed while you were still racing as a
Yeah,
player. And because I don't think you necessarily need admin rights to like develop such a thing, you could just like write the code, maybe send it to Vlad, or maybe test it in some sort of sandbox, and then like you. What was it? The reason you became admin? Because like I said, the implementation would not require it. Was there any other things that was your job to work on after you became admin?
yeah, the race engine, race viewer wasn't the reason, so yeah, it was basically Vlad doing the like data feeding to it, like gathering the data from the basically the same data that you goes to the like the traditional race viewer, and then but yeah, and then yeah. So this is a web page that reads the data from or gets asks the data from the server and gets the data and then it displays it. So that's not really I maybe there is some little things that I know, like overtaking severities, that are more than like a regular player would get. Or you can kind of like they affect like what is the commentary like, how what comment is given in the commentary. But yeah, I guess it's not so visible for a regular player. But yeah, basically I didn't get any extra info or useful info from that. But yeah, then we had some plans like those private leagues, and then yeah, some other enhancements with which I was supposed to work on and also worked on a bit. But yeah, then I got my day job and yeah, I got some like less time, and yeah, then I left like this main admin like or like this proper admin role. So after that, I was just been helping a bit with the app, but not having any admin accesses anymore.
So obviously we don't have the private leaks today. So what do you think prevented it from happening? Was it you getting that job?
Mm, well, partly that. So yeah, I guess I had gotten used to like having lots of time. So yeah, I was studying and playing GPRO, and yeah, then I graduated and I was unemployed and played GPRO, and yeah, I was totally like hooked to that. And maybe that was the reason why my studies took so long and why I wasn't getting a job. So yeah, I was like getting used to like hanging around and being at CPLO like 8 hours a day. So yeah, so I thought that I would have time, and I also maybe a bit underestimated like how difficult it would be. Like I had done the viewer, but like this whole like this working like pretty much like CPLO version 2 kind of. It was maybe a bit harder than I thought. And then when I had less time to focus on that, then it started to feel like that. Okay, I just don't have passion to do that.
Do you believe that if you would have stayed unemployed for a year or two longer, that we would have the private leaks now?
Maybe.
So it's your bag's fault that we don't have it. A bad review incoming.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that probably I wouldn't have that job. I might have something else, but that job I wouldn't have if I hadn't played CPLO. So that is basically a database job. And yeah, I had some one university course on databases, but that's not really like it just teaches how to write queries, but nothing else. So like all my practical experience is the first from the like when we had our team database which was gathering data automatically every days and saving it there, and then I analyzed it and built my formulas. And then of course, when I joined the admin, I had access to the GPRO database and was doing gathering data for the statistics and so on from there. So I guess I never would have applied my current job just based on the university course. I needed some belief that I can actually do this, and so yeah, that it's kind of funny that it prevented me doing the private leagues, but I would never be in that job without like playing CPLO and maybe being an admin.
You're like the first person ever to get a job because of GPRO. Usually it's not a career enhancer. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty impressive that, I mean, I'm not a programmer, so for me everything like this is magic. Like how you build something like this race screen. You told me last time we talked that was like one of your first kind of coding jobs you did, doing this race screen. So I find it really impressive. So props to that. You wrote somewhere that it like, or you think you wrote me that it like has blown up to like 5,000 lines of code. So like, how complex is it?
Mm, it is firstly, it is like totally stupidly coded, like it's total mess of the code. So there would be much that could be done in more simple way and in like more like there is some duplicate code like throwing the helmets and throwing the cars and throwing the dots. Basically, each have their own code, even though it's 90% of the same. But yeah, I think what is the most complicated part of that is basically calculation of the car positions. So like basically I get a lap time and whether you got a mistake, and that's basically it. And then like it's totally like built on fly on the viewer, like what is happening, like where the cars are, and then when they overtake, and they shouldn't like just drive through each other. So I think that's, I don't know, it's not so difficult for coding since it's more on like mathematical challenge to like and like uh, to make it work so that it looks even like a bit realistic.
So I mean, you probably have to define like a certain path which looks like the racetrack that you're simulating. Because I mean, if it was like a perfect circle, it would probably a bit easier. So and then you have to define that path, and then like you have to make the cars move at a constant speed around that path, basically, and the speed is defined by the lap time, which is then pulled from GPRO. I would guess that works something like that.
Yeah, it's basically if nothing is blocking you, you move at constant speed. It is just that okay, then some. It is kind of that like for each section there is like a speed defined, and then that kind of stretches like how long that section or shrinks it. But basically, in the background, if they think that okay, you move from like position 0 to position 1 to end of the lap lane, then you basically move constant speed. But then when like there's blocking, like someone is in front of you, then you are like a bit slowed down so that you don't overlap. And then when the overtake happens, then you switch places. So yeah, it's kind of simple, but lots of details. Which yeah, it's I guess if I well okay, it works quite well, so Vlad doesn't need to do anything. But yeah, I guess if someone wanted to change that, partly because the calculation is not documented and it's so complex, and also partly because it's just spaghetti code, then I guess no one else could ever work with that. It is just so messy.
So of the, let's say, which features we have right now are basically your work. So that's the race screen. What other things did you kind of implement that we have now?
Mm, so basically, the first one I was kind of getting used to the database and so on. So I was doing some enhancement to statistics, like I think that earlier it just showed the top 100, so now it shows like the pages and maybe even like where you are. Like if you are not in the top 100, then it shows you at the bottom. So that was the first thing. Then yeah, I was supposed to work with private leagues and I kind of started them, but it never really got far enough. And second thing that I was kind of working on, but it never really ended up being so good in such state that it would be used anywhere. But it was basically supposed to be used in the private leagues. So I was working this more realistic race engine. So like instead of like this one lap at a time, it was more on time based and lap was split into sectors. So then it would look even more realistic and yeah. So those were like abandoned parts that I never came to life. But yeah, what I kind of affected was of course I guess the biggest one was the PHA matching. So that was basically my idea even to begin with. So uh, I was always hoping that you would get more benefit on matching your car to the track, so it wasn't really too big before when I was playing, and I would have liked to benefit from that because I was kind of good in making the plans. So yeah, then yeah I just suggested to Vlad that okay, could we like make this bigger? And yeah, so then yeah, that was maybe the main one. Then there's of course little things like the sponsor negotiation cap that okay, your number of sponsor negotiations is affected by how high facilities you have. But yeah, I guess those are quite cosmetic and small things.
I mean, I think that sponsor thing that probably rebalances the approach a little bit from. So I think it makes the coming from amateur approach less powerful because now you can have, I think, 5 sponsors maximum in amateur, while you could when I was back then I could have 10. So like everyone else, so you could bring a lot more frozen sponsor money. And now there's like this sponsor expiring for it's longer, like 30 seasons or so, 25 seasons. Where like sponsors have like, I don't know, 40, 50 race expiration time. So you could not store them forever, except from other sponsors, special sponsors. So yeah, I guess that like back then, you did it because like you thought you want to rebalance it. So you say like coming from amateur, you already have so that you could bring like 300, 400 million to pro. And then if you have the sponsor money on top, that it's too much, or what was the incentive there?
I don't quite remember. I thought when I was playing, I thought that okay, I have facilities mostly because I want my staff training level to be a bit higher, so that was my main incentive to have them. So I guess it was just like a random idea to give at least some benefit for the facilities. Of course, there are still the other facilities which maybe are not quite useful. Okay, there is a little effect, but is it worth it? I don't know. But yeah, I guess it was just like a random idea. I don't quite remember why I got it. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was just.
facilities have been tweaked a little bit while I was absent. I've heard, I've heard it at least that Vlad made them, I think, a little bit cheaper. I think 29%. So you still have the same opinion about them?
Yeah, I had missed that. I was stalking at the forums also when I was absent, but I had missed that. So then, actually, this season I just started wonder that okay, my plans, business like finance plans, are not working. So I'm getting more money than I'm planning. So then I realized that okay, facilities are a bit cheaper. So yeah, maybe it's a good thing. Yeah, I guess they are a bit more worth now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also felt that I back then I had pretty high stuff in facilities, and I think that was a waste of money. I could have used that more in a better way. So I think driver and technical director is probably a better return on invest. So better maybe reinvest the money there. Um, Yeah, I'm wondering, did you have like the same level of access than Stefan and Vlad, or was it some sort of like their admin, super admin? I guess they have the same level of access, and then it was some sort of employer access, or was like full?
I'm not quite sure. Could I have started all the scripts? At least I saw all the data and so on, and maybe if I had known what to do, then I could have done everything as them. I would say. At least I wasn't aware that I wouldn't be, but I just wasn't. I was never really like running any reset scripts or anything like that. I was just watching at the side when usually Stefan did that. So yeah, it's. But probably if I had just started them, then yes, I could have broken things.
I found an interesting quote. I did some research like a few hours where there was a season reset where Vlad had to postpone the season reset for like a day because of real life issues. And then there was Dominic van West, the post is from 2018. He asked, but I just wonder, is there anyone in your crew that could do that too if it would really be necessary? And Vlad answered, for the moment, both me and Stefan are needed to do the reset. If we both jump in front of a bus, I'm sure Jukka will figure things out eventually.
Yeah, I think it's not just one click of the button. It's like doing right things in right order. But yeah, it would probably have taken time to figure out in which order and which things.
But I would guess if you could do something like a season reset, which seems like one of the biggest things because it also seems to require Stefan on top. So wouldn't that mean like you probably had like the admin rights? Because I guess that would be something that a non-admin couldn't do.
Yeah, I think I had all the access that was there. It was just that okay, don't touch this unless we tell you to.
I remember back in the day, so I'm like 27, so I'm a Facebook generation. Back then there were like these groups where you had like admins, and whenever the admin was like going out of the group for whatever reason, everybody else would become the admin. And if you were quick, you could like delete all the other admin access and take over the group. The same for WhatsApp. So no intrusive thoughts there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like these servers are like this server like giving the accesses and so on. Maybe I didn't have those, so I couldn't have kicked Vlad out from the game.
Do you still have access?
No.
So basically, after you quit and basically have had your bank job, you were not an admin anymore?
There was like an overlap that I was still thinking, okay, I could do something. But yeah, I guess it was a bit stressful, and then I also had a little mental health issues at some points. So yeah, we decided that okay, maybe it's better that I'm like left on staying aside. And yeah, I guess Vlad took my rights. I haven't tried, but I hope he did.
I wonder what's the degree of automation of GPRO. So let's say if Stefan and Vlad were stranded somewhere without access to the internet for a week, would this Tuesday, Friday schedule continue to run?
I think it would. There was this thing that we had a meeting last summer, and we were doing this trip to this Transvagarsen. So this Top Gear mountain road in Vlad's car. And yeah, then there was some traffic like accident and stuff like that happening there, and we were delayed. And it was the first driver market of the season, I think. And Vlad had made some little changes to the code, and he was worried that okay, if something goes wrong, then he needs to be there. But I guess normally he doesn't need to be there; it just happens automatically.
I mean, it's probably a bit like a CEO to the company. So you could be like away for a month or so, but then there are like small issues coming up here and there. And at first they might be like rather small and might get unnoticed. But then like if the CEO kind of stays away for a longer time, then like maybe 3 months from now, the whole thing's like blows up. And you could not exactly tell what was the reason. but like the CEO might be like the person like having a close view that everybody like that everything is working flawlessly. So I guess that Vlad is doing a lot of bug fixing here and there, because I see that he's often tagged when somebody is like, there's something wrong here and my driver is too slow. Do something. So like, how's the it feels like Vlad is the person that is like basically active. Also when you write Stefan, then you get like this notice that it might take a month to reply, basically. So is it like Vlad is doing basically everything and Stefan is more like sort of an investor who has a share in GPRO and then helps a little bit around the season reset and does the season calendar?
Yeah, I think nowadays it's like that, of course. Like well, I don't know like full history, but I guess they developed it together. But yeah, then it has like more and more shifted like all the work to Vlad, and then Stefan has like a day job and yeah, other things in his life. So yeah, it's mostly Vlad doing things.
Sounds like a fair 50-50 deal to me. So Vlad does everything else and Stefan does the season calendar. It's also important, I guess. Maybe you can bribe him to have like the right PHA tracks at the right time.
Yeah, I guess it could be nice to like make first a plan and then pick the tracks that fit the plan.
So let's say I've always wondered, so basically it seems like GPRO is basically Vlad. So let's say Vlad would fall into a coma for a year. Like, do you think that Stefan and possibly you would be able to keep GPRO running?
Good question. I think it would depend on. Technically, yes, definitely yes. But then it would be like that, okay, would either of us be enthusiastic enough to do that? I don't know.
I
No.
guess it depends on the salary, right? How much they pay you.
Yeah, it needs someone to be working on like full time. So at least I think Vlad has no other sources of income. But yeah, I guess at least my bank job is probably paying me more than the GPRO would pay me. So yeah, it would be like a. And I just bought this actually my apartment this summer. So yeah, I need to pay my mortgage.
How much did you get for developing the race screen? 1 season of supporter credits?
Well, it was 4 digits, but yeah, not that big.
I thought it would be like 3 seasons of supporter credits, but that actually sounds better. So I wonder. So there's like this movie you certainly know it, The Matrix, with Neo, and like I would suppose if you're a GPRO player that it's like kind of exciting to get into the admin side. So it's a bit like Neo when he escapes the Matrix for the first time and looks kind of behind it. Did you have a look at the formulas and stuff? I guess that would be like curiosity.
Yes, there was some of them that I was curious about. Some of them not so much. Like for example, fuel. I knew it well enough, so I don't know if I ever even looked at it. But yeah, there was some formulas that I was definitely like maybe even a bit too big influence on me actually deciding to quit. Was just to like see them, and then I was disappointed when I saw them. it was like shattering like this illusion of something. But yeah, I think one of the formulas that I was like most interested in seeing was actually the Tyre. Not because I didn't really know how it works, but because I was certain that there was a bug in the Tyre formula. And yeah, then I think it was the first thing I did when I was an admin that okay, I went to see and found the bug, and then eventually it was fixed, and I think yeah, but yeah, yeah, to go to the story. Basically, there is I think earlier there was certain driver skills that affected, but there was supposed to be like one more driver skill affecting. But yeah, actually, there was a bug that it wasn't taken from your driver, but it was taken from the driver in position 40. And if there was no 40 drivers in the race, then it was basically like a zero skill and had no effect. So basically, how in my time is the driver like this Tyre worked was that in most cases it was bugged, like it was missing this one driver skill, but in the races where there's like 40 drivers, then this one driver skill was affecting, but it was taken from the wrong driver. And yeah.
But
So yeah,
wouldn't that like
that was
cause
one of my biggest motivation of becoming an admin.
wouldn't that be like causing people to have, for example, an extra pit stop? So if that skill, I suppose it's the skill which reduces the tire wear. When you, let's say, have a person, so no 40s place, it's 0, then it increases the tire wear, which probably screws up your calculation. So if you planned it like 1 or 2%, being 2% left, you might be at -1%, and then you have to do an extra pit. Wouldn't it be like a really annoying thing for a lot of people?
I don't know if back then anyone had good enough calculators to like okay, and of course there's like different temperatures and so on. So yeah, I don't know if anyone noticed it, but yeah, in theory yes, like you had a lower tire wear if it was 40 people race. So yeah, I guess when you set up, you didn't even. If you had known the bug, then you wouldn't even know like what is your tire wear going to be because maybe someone qualifies late and you are not certain if they qualify or not. So then it can be lower or it can be higher. higher. So yeah, it was funny bug.
But which season was it fixed?
I don't remember. I think I became an admin season 61 or maybe 61, 62, somewhere around that.
So that means basically that all the data before season 60, basically you can toss in the trash.
Basically, yes. It's either it's missing that one skill or it is unknown and even like changing every lap what that skill is.
Good to know. No, I think we had like in our team tool, there was an old calculation, and like when you, let's say you have a race where you plan quite closely to like maybe you go down to 1 or 2%, and you want to like might not want to like completely rely on the tool, and then you want to check like specific data. And then if you would take something like from season 55 and you know that there is this bug, then you might be a little bit more cautious, because it might be that the person in last position, maybe it had like a very good driver skill, a certain driver skill, and then that might actually change that calculation. So yeah, but I mean, it's like 45 seasons now, so I guess you had enough possibilities to collect proper data. So like from season 61, season 62, like tire data is usable.
Yep. And yeah, I guess it went like that. Okay, I found a bug. I pointed Vlad that okay, there is the bug there, and yeah, Vlad went and fixed it. Maybe on the hindsight, it should have been announced that okay, now there is this, because I guess for rookie and amateur, there is never like 40 people in a race, so it was like always working in the same way, but then like this one driver skill was added there, so in rookie and amateur, I guess it wasn't even possible to notice the bug, but then suddenly just everything got changed. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should have announced that, but yeah, that happens.
So basically, this is a brand new info now.
I'm not quite sure. I may have mentioned it in the forums, or at least I have been like asked it in the personal like private message that okay, something changed there. Okay, what did you do? And then might have gave some like vague answer like the same that I gave now. But yeah, basically maybe it's like a new public information. information. I don't know if it has ever been in forums.
So here you have a reason to subscribe to my podcast. So you have like the hottest information to update your tools. No, I mean the percentage that would read some specific forum post by you is probably low single digit. So saying like I wrote it somewhere in the forums and it being known and public, there's like a difference. So I mean, if you have something, I guess it's important to have it like same for everyone. So either you don't tell anything or you like make it clear to everyone and make sure that everybody really has the accessibility to that information to like keep the ground fair. So yeah, maybe it's like a reward if you watched until this, until like minute 30 or something. So I wonder how does the backend look? So when I'm like super noob, so I might ask like super dumb questions, but maybe other dumb people couldn't relate to those questions. So when you are an admin, do you log into the player's account and then you have like fancy admin features, or is it like some sort of, for example, there's this subdomain api.gpro.net where you get a little bit more advanced information if you have tools?
There is things also on the website, like you can see something there, and like I don't even remember. At least you were possible to approve like libraries and such. But I think the main thing is that there is this separate server where you take this remote connection and all like the codes and yeah, all fancy stuff and database, and that is there, and you develop the code there. So that's yeah.
You're talking about api.gpro.net? Or is it some
No,
other...
no.
So is it like... So for example, I worked on WordPress with websites, so a little bit of web design, web applications, but like plugin based. So where the plugins basically take care of most of the code. So the plugins interface is quite clean, so you're not necessarily looking directly into code. So how is it if you, in terms of GPRO, I guess it's like too specific, so there is not much like software solution kind of plugin stuff. It's probably hard-coded everything.
Yeah, it's like, of course, it was started like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
so it's like very old way of doing things. Of course, the app is like more modern, and I don't know what Vlad has done for the other backend stuff after I left. But at least back then it was like pretty much done like how like complex web pages were done like 25 years ago. So yeah, not the easiest one to maintain, and like nowadays there is like plugins, and even if you don't use plugins but you do your own code, then there are like much easier ways to do that, and like much more like modern ways to do that. So that I guess that is like one thing that okay, if you would need to like pick someone else than Vlad to do things, then yeah, I guess there would be some time getting used to that, and yeah, lots of my spaghetti code and lots of Vlad's spaghetti code and lots of Stefan's spaghetti code. So yeah, it's not the easiest project to take over.
I mean, we had a similar we have a similar situation with our team tool. So my teammate Alex, who I did the first podcast with, he was kind of improving our tool, and he said that it takes like 3 days to get an environment where he can actually work on that code. I think it's called Angular. I've never heard of that. Maybe you know it, but yeah, it's like super, like it's nothing you have to do in your regular life, because it's like the team tool is like 15 years old, GPRO is like 20 years old, and I think that's like an environment that develops pretty fast. So tech generally is fast-lived, and I think yeah, it's pretty much a headache for some people who develop our tools. But then it's like also this compatibility. So I guess it's pretty hard to change this base or code base to a more modern format, because like then there are tools and all sorts of things which are attached to that. I guess that you're kind of stuck with that base.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that it's like if I think even like semi-modern ways of doing things, there is like this page design, like what the pages look like in the browser, and then like this all the calculations and that they are like totally separated, and then just the correct values go to correct places in this web page. But it's I think at least some pages are just that okay. It just prints like there is like a maybe like a like if you think of the front page, then you start basically the code started okay. You put this driver name there, and then you do some calculation, and they are like totally entangled this like display and the calculations. So I would guess that is maybe the biggest reason why it would be very hard to like change the technology. Of course, with the app, it might be a bit better if we totally move to the app, because then I guess that is like a separate backend and front end. So that could help things. But yeah, then there is of course that okay, there is a lot like for the race engine. I guess it's more complicated than it would need to be. Like even like writing that again with some like more modern language, it would they to replicate all the like features there. It would be like it would take some time.
Are you using the app yourself as a player now?
No, I I was using I was using it a bit like checking like private messages and so on, but I was mainly playing on the website. Then I changed it to my phone and I forgot to log in back again, and yeah, now I'm just using the website. I'm the old-fashioned guy.
I think I'm basically using the app only for looking things up. So when I'm on the way and I want to watch the race, I think the app is really nice. But preparing a race, so first of all, my tools are all PC based. So that would have like the PC there and the mobile phone there. So it doesn't make that much sense. And also I would be like paranoid that I kind of mistype something. Like you have this slider, and I think there's like the chance of you mistyping something in your race strategy is significantly higher in the app than on the PC, I guess. So that's probably, yeah, always like I think GPRO is a game which is like difficult to only play it on a mobile phone. I think it's too much PC based. I mean, it's a browser game. It started as a browser game, and you have all these tools which are PC based. I think I've heard one advantage that in the mobile app there was a bug where you could train your driver like 3 times if you did it right. So I guess that is definitely a clear plus. So, but I think it was fixed, I guess. But
Hopefully, yes.
it depends on if you're using it or not. But because I guess that there was Vlad saying like, and if you want to try that, I can see that if you do it. So maybe you takes your stamina points away. I don't know. So yeah, basically you have returned now as a player, and I guess that some people it's a bit surprised that because you have been an admin before and you probably have some certain knowledge of the game that they see it might cause issues with the integrity of the game. So what are your plans, and what would you say to those people?
Yeah, I understand that at least a concern, and I guess if I was to play like if I was to like gather like untrainables and go really for the title, yeah, I would even feel myself that it would be a bit unfair. I don't think I know anything like game changing or like something like that, but there are maybe tiny little details, and of course, like PHA matching, like I designed it in the way that how I would have liked it to be. So of course, it fits to my playing style. Even though on hindsight I might have done it a little bit different. But yeah, I think yeah, like I said, I don't know anything like that would make a big difference. But of course, if I was to go to the title, then maybe those small things, and yeah, they would maybe help a bit. My plan is like yeah, we discussed in also in last meeting, and I think I promised that okay, if I win Elite title in 5 seasons, then everyone has a free trip to Finland for the meeting next year. Okay, I doubt it's possible even with like knowing all the formulas. I would not be able to do that because it's not possible to prepare for that in 4 seasons. But yeah, I'm trying to do the elitist, and I'm trying to see like how high on the 5th season I can get. But yeah, I guess that is the fun I'm having, and then I let you play play in peace.
You have to bring back the private leagues, and then we can race against each other. Um, no, I mean, like, there's if you say like you only play like 5 seasons, you will have always this huge disadvantage of the untrainables, which have just I'm experienced in it the hard way now that it's just having too big of an disadvantage to be competitive at like maybe I could race around master, but elite it would not make much sense. And since I'm a bit spoiled with 3 titles, then you bar races, and then it's not like it doesn't feel like a big like reward if you say I want to make it to elite. So the first time when I started playing GPRO, I was like super excited. I want to reach master, I want to reach elite, and each step was like super. I was super excited, and it was great. But now it's like it's kind of nice. You have like these 3 titles next to your name, and you don't have to prove anything, which is cool. But then on the other hand, like everything you achieve is not new. So when I win a race in amateur, it's not like exciting. If I promote to pro, it's not exciting. If I promote to master, and like it's a bit like if you're new, then you might be like jealous that somebody else has achieved that. But on the other hand, you can also be happy about certain things, which I can probably not take that much joy out. So yeah, this is probably why I decided to stay now in amateur for a while and build in a way that makes me competitive at a level which then is like giving me something. But that being said, like the untrainable disadvantage is so big that I guess no admin knowledge could compensate 100 stuff experience versus like 20 or so. I think even if I would be amazed if you make it to elite, because I know, for example, my teammate Jukka tried it, I think 2 times, and I think he did quite well, but he didn't make it to elite. Always the people seem to fail midway master because I find it super difficult. No untrainables. You have usually you have a 2-season approach because you train your driver 2 seasons and then you go up. So like if you definitely you can do 1 season rookie, 2 season amateur, 2 season pro, 2 season master, elite. Possible. I did it in my first try and I was much dumper than I'm now. But 1 season is kind of very difficult because it's not the kind of schedule which GPRO set up. It's like a 2-season approach basically. So yeah, if you can do it personally, I think it's fine to me. But I think it's good to state that you're not planning to prepare like 30 seasons with admin knowledge to then crush everyone.
That is I guess it depends on. I haven't really followed the meta game. Like, is it how often it is that people are trying to avoid promotion, and how often there is like a fight for promotion. But yeah, I guess it depends a lot on like in what kind of group you land. Like if there is like 3 people really going for it, then it may be really hard to push some of them out from the promotion spot. But if like no one is really wanting that, then yeah, maybe it's happening.
Yeah, I was actually, so the first time I promoted to elite, which was just like trying if I can do it, I was on Bridge Rocks. And I was really lucky because my package wasn't that strong and nobody wanted to like promote from that group. And I basically, the combination of nobody wanting it and premium tires enabled me to get there. So I was not that strong. But so when you win the title in 5 seasons, that also means that you pay everything, right? When we come to Helsinki.
At least to those that were in the previous meeting. So at least to those, yes, I think I promised that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Unless like people suddenly like bow below me and let me to do that.
But talking about GPRO meetings, so you have been there regularly, right? You're a regular guest.
Nowadays, yes. I think I was earlier. I was so shy and nerd that I didn't dare to go there. But I think now I have been like in 4 out of 5 last meetings.
And John Beagles, who I recorded a podcast with, which might be published when this is published. So he told me that you always put Helsinki up there, and he says he always votes for it, but nobody, no other people give your vote. So
Yeah,
he said,
even I don't vote myself.
yeah, but okay, this could be like modesty, just. um, But you would like to be the host, or is it just like you put it out there because you think like you have been a GPRO crew and you want to put something out there?
I guess it's partly like a backup option that okay, if no one else wants, then yeah, I'm happy to host. And yeah, I guess if I have lots of other holiday plans, then yeah, it would be like kind of like save one holiday of just doing a meeting at home. But yeah, I'm totally happy if someone else hosts, especially if it's a nice place which I haven't yet visited.
I mean, I have been thinking after that podcast with John Beagles about just eventually proposing doing one in Germany and planning one because John said that he will vote for it, and Stefan Vogenreiter and Stefan Heider, they might vote for it because it's the nearest option for them. So maybe if I could get your vote, then that would give me a decent chance to be the host, because I kind of struggle a little bit with traveling. So I kind of get sick in the plane and sick in the car and in the train, and like it kind of is a bit annoying. So being the host would help there. Wouldn't be in the biggest city because I live nearby Bielefeld. There's always this joke that Bielefeld doesn't exist, so you could visit the non-existing city. Would be only kind of cool.
Well, I think that has been it so that Finland doesn't exist either. I think somewhere in the internet that has been a joke that Finland doesn't exist either. I don't know where that joke comes from, but
I feel that pain, man. Whenever I talk about that I come nearby Bielefeld, there's always this one joke, which everybody in Germany finds funny, except people that live in Bielefeld. But yeah, maybe I don't know where I will be like located within the next season, because I might have job-related changes. But once that is said, I might think about it. So I definitely have enough ideas what you could do. Also, there's a car track nearby and the bowling center, which we could have for our own. So I guess it would be pretty nice.
Have you done karting, or do you get motion sick in that too?
Oh, I don't like the very long sitting. So karting is actually okay. I'm just not very good at it. But I want to do it more often because I really enjoy it. I prefer it being the driver. So then I'm more in control. I mean, doesn't mean I drive better than others, but I feel like I'm in control about the bad driving. So you had a phase where you were like absent for a while. Was it job related, or was it like, I saw there was some discussions where you weren't, so where people did not always appreciate it, for example, PHA, and you were a bit sad about that, I felt like. So was it also something that contributed for you being absent for a while, or was it just job related?
Mm, yeah, that was maybe one of those things that okay, I didn't really think beforehand. Like that, okay, of course I knew that okay, as an admin I couldn't really talk about the game so much anymore. But yeah, I wasn't really like thinking it through that okay, you really can't talk, and yeah, then people are unhappy, and people disagree with you, and yeah, I guess as a player it's like normal, but when you are an admin, then it's more targeted to you, and yeah, then And yeah, then there was some work stress and all of that kind of accumulated. That yeah, I then got a bit fed up of my life and GPRO and everything. So yeah, I was stalking in the forums, but yeah, I think there was a like quite long period that I didn't log in. But yeah, I was leading the forums still.
I mean, I guess as an admin, you're a bit like a politician. So you, first of all, you have to be a bit more careful what you say because you have now inside knowledge. And if you spread it somewhere, then people might be annoyed and think it's unfair if some people would read it and some people doesn't. And then also the second thing is that as a player, if there's a bug, you can go to the bug forum and then you can like complain. And if you find, like if you're the admin, then you're the person responsible for all these complaints. So, which might be, yeah, also more, let's say, with power comes responsibility. So now you're in charge of like having a flawless and fair game running. And I guess you put a lot of effort into that, and also this PHA. So personally, I loved it. I absolutely think it's awesome, and also the game viewer. So really, thanks for those features. I think it makes GPRO really a lot more fun to play, at least for me, and I also think I can speak for a lot of teammates. I think that's just, I mean, the bar wasn't that high with the old race screen where you would just watch at the stationary screen for 2 minutes and then it would slightly refresh. But yeah, I think the improvement is definitely like factor 10, 10x. So yeah, thanks, really, really nice. And I mean, we humans, we have this tendency that, let's say if you get 10 times positive feedback and 1 negative feedback, this negative feedback, this always sticks with our head much more than the positive feedback. So I don't think it was necessarily negative, but I would guess that the negative feedback would like got to you more than the positive, and which I think is quite human.
I guess it's
So,
and yeah, it's like maybe more tendency to like people who are unhappy are like louder. And yeah, my self-esteem is like a bit. Well, for some things it's good, but yeah, for some things it's not so good. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not really regretting either. It's more that yeah, I may have got my current job because of me being an admin and at least doing something instead of like just laying on the couch and playing the silly little online game. So yeah, yeah, on the hindsight, maybe I could have thought a bit more like should I become an admin or not, and maybe discuss with Vlad a bit more before I joined, like what is his visions and what are my visions, and are they the same? But yeah, yeah, it turned out quite well, and yeah, I have the titles and so not so much to achieve. So yeah, maybe I play a season here and there, and yeah, just join the meetings and yeah.
so if you go like 50 seasons back in time, you would do the same decision of stepping up to becoming an admin.
Mm, I don't know. I would think it a bit more, be a bit less like, be a bit less obsessed on this Tyre bug and finding out what it actually is, because I was so annoyed about, about it. Like I had like I was clearly able to point out the places where the bug was, but I just wasn't. I wasn't able to like point out that okay, that is like common thing for them, because I didn't save the number of lasers participants for the race into my data. So yeah, save all the data. It's maybe important.
But I mean, like this bug you talked about, this seems like the most random thing ever. So you have one certain driver stat which gets pulled from that person in 40th position for everyone in first to 39th, 40th position. So it kind of feels weird how such a bug actually exists, like comes up in the first place. So I would think about a lot of other things that could happen, but probably not of that. But I mean, yeah, glad you paid attention to it and it's fixed now. So I'm not getting a last lap pit stop. If that. So is it when the person in dropped out in that races because of a tire puncture, let's say, would that also cause that start to go to zero?
I'm not quite sure on that. I guess it depends on like how it was handled. Like, would it stay? I'm. I would guess it is still taken from the retired driver, but I'm not quite certain.
If you're an admin, can you give people you don't like a tire puncture? Or is it too automated?
I guess you could just put some extra code there. I didn't find any like magic buttons to do that, but of course you can put some extra line of code that okay, if the manager ID is this, then yeah, don't let him win.
Okay, very interesting. Asking for a friend. No, I always thought so. There's this, I don't know. There's an article somewhere in the forums where Vlad did an interview. So Vlad was interviewed, and there was this kind of, it was a bit of like comedic where there was this room. So Vlad's room where during the elite race where he's like pushing certain buttons where the weather changes and all this certain stuff.
Yeah, maybe I didn't have access to that.
Yeah, but you can like if you're an admin, you can push a rain button. So let's say rain in lap or crash gate. How about that? Like Renault in Singapore 2007, where you can say, okay, now crash this certain player. I mean, if you're admin and you run the game, you can probably. It's a little bit of work, but I guess if you would put in the effort, you could probably tweak the game a little bit here and there. Let's put it like that. Yeah, I mean, you had like certain posts in the forum, so sometimes I had a tendency to read. I have to say through your posts because sometimes if you would read between the lines, sometimes you could pull a little bit here and there. So I wonder, did like Vlad or Stefan ever say like maybe post a little bit less in the forums?
Not maybe on the game details, maybe just like general of getting involved and agitated of the feedback and so on, and getting like in the heated discussions to stay away from those. But yeah, I think I have managed to stay on Fabi's side. I have managed to stay quite clean, maybe not fully clean, but clean-ish.
Yeah, I mean, if you would go back to your times as a player without revealing anything, what do you think? Which like knowledge, which formula would have helped you knowing which formula would have helped you the most as a player back then when you go back to let's say season 60? I mean, PHA wasn't a thing there, but
Mm,
if you had a Joker and you could look at one formula, which one would you look up?
I knew the basic formulas like fuel and tire wear and part wear so well that I wouldn't have had any help of those. Maybe either sponsors. So like, what is the ideal way? Like, is it better to like put like what is the meaning of those spots and like how to get good promotion sponsors? There was little things I learned because I hadn't paid quite enough attention to those. And then, but I think the most interesting thing I sometimes even miss now because I think I never did looked at like how those driver files are compared. Like if you offer like 2 million salary but no bonuses and 1 million salary but lots of bonuses, then who wins? So then that would be like that is actually what I'm now missing that I never remember to have a look.
Yeah, I guess like bonus have a pretty big effect. It was reduced actually. I still believe even after the reduction, bonus seemed to have a pretty big effect. So I mean, I'm in a big team, so I sometimes you can compare it a little bit. But yeah, I believe let's say if the drivers were completely rational individuals, homo economicus, I guess they would decide different. Let's put it like that. Yeah, thanks very much for being here. So I always wished of having somebody from the GPRO crew, and like you, the first person who made that happen. So I really appreciate it talking to you. Really enjoyed it. Putting some like answers to questions I always had, and and so thank you for the great race screen and for like the PHA change. I really love it. Really, thank you very much.
Thanks. It was interesting.